Hello everybody, welcome to practice. It's Emma here. Thank you for joining me. Today we're going to focus on balancing, and in particular we're working up to tree pose or Vrksasana in Sanskrit. Before we begin, there's a few things I want you to remember when we practice balancing. The first of all is we all fall, and I encourage you to embrace falling and accept it as being a completely normal part of your yoga practice, whether you're balancing on your feet or on your hands or in your arms if you like. And often when I'm teaching, I will hear students stutting and huffing and puffing and generally getting angry with themselves because they've fallen out of one balance or another. And honestly, it doesn't matter at all. We get the lessons from the falling, so try to let go of any importance of actually maintaining the balance. It's a work in progress always. If you want to, you could stand by the wall and use the wall to help you when you practice your tree pose today. Also, when we practice our balances, I want you to really focus on your foundations. So in today's practice, that means focusing on your standing foot. And often it's tempting to think about what's happening with the leg that's in the air or whatever the lifted leg is doing. But actually it's more important to think about the connection to the mat. So during our practice today, as we lead up to tree pose, we'll be doing quite a few poses where we're really focusing in on the foundations through the feet. Okay, what else? Drishti, so focusing your gaze on a still spot can really help you with your balance. And gazing on something that's not moving ahead of you, like a fixture on the wall or something like that, can really help you to steady your balance. If you steady your gaze, you steady your balance. However, what we are going to also be doing today is challenging ourselves, not on one leg, on two legs, by changing the direction of some lunges. So we'll do some high lunges, and a high lunge is a balance in itself, especially if your feet are fairly close together, and we'll be challenging ourselves by taking the high lunge into a twist. Two twists actually. Okay, I think that's about it for now. We should begin, and we're going to begin lying down in constructive rest. You don't need anything for this practice apart from possibly a strap. If you haven't got one, it doesn't matter because I'll give an alternative. So let's come down to lie on our backs with the knees bent and the soles of the feet connected to the mat. You can have your palms up or down, whichever option speaks to you. And then just allow your body to feel heavy on the mat. And we'll begin by taking some deep breaths. And you can do this with your eyes open or closed. There's nothing to force or to achieve here. Just to be with the breath, however it is right now. So notice the breath as it comes into the body. And notice the breath as it leaves the body. Without any judgment or any kind of expectation from the breath. Just notice it exactly as it is. Let's take about another 5 or 6 deep rounds of breath. And now, if your eyes are closed, open them back into the light. Maybe have a little wriggle through your toes and gently move your fingers. And then we're going to lift both feet off the mat. We're going to take a cross over the thighs, right thigh over left, and squeeze the thighs in. Settle the shoulders. And then change. Left thigh over the right. Squeeze the thighs together. And then release and bring both feet back onto the mat. Okay, so now we're going to take our reclined hand to big toe pose. So you can either take a strap around the ball of your right foot and straighten your right leg up to the ceiling. Or you can take your peace fingers to your big toe. Or you can hold your hands behind your thigh or your calf. So take one of those options and focus on straightening your right leg. Doesn't matter how high it is. And then you can either keep your left leg bent, foot on the mat, or you can stretch your left leg along the mat, and that will intensify the work in both legs. So settle in wherever you are for some deep breaths. And we'll take 3 more. And then release whatever connections you have and take a swap with the strap if you're using it. Otherwise, straighten your left leg and hold either your big toe or somewhere behind your leg. So begin with your right leg bent, but if you want, straighten your right leg along the mat. Relax your shoulders, relax your elbows. And let's stay for about 5 more breaths here. And a final 3 deep breaths. And then release the grip on the strap if you're using a strap. Bend into your knee and bring your right knee in to join. So both knees in towards the chest. Have a little hug in. And any kind of movement that feels good on the back of the hips. And then we're going to come up to a seated position. So either roll to your side or roll along your spine and come up to a seat. And in particular, into Baddha Konasana. So bring the soles of the feet to touch. And then if it's available to you, hop your sitting bones a little closer. And then let's sit with a tall spine. You can either interlace your fingers around your toes or hold on to your ankles or shins. Let's lengthen through the back, crown of the head away from the tail. And then tuck the chin so you gaze down to your feet. And we'll stay here for 6 deep breaths. Last 2 breaths. And then release your feet. Bring your knees together and then take any other comfortable seat that works for you. So I'm going to take a cross-leg position, but you could go into Dandasana or you could stay in Baddha Konasana, although maybe perhaps up to you. Okay, so let's take a comfortable seat. We're going to find our eagle arms. So let's take our arms out in front and then bring the right arm under the left. And see if you can bind at your wrist or just take opposite hand to opposite shoulder. Breathe into the space between your shoulders. Maybe elevate your elbows a little. Maybe gaze up to your fingertips. And then release and take a counter stretch by opening up the front of the body. And then bring your arms back around and take the left arm under the right. And then either go to opposite shoulder or hook around the wrist. Elevate the elbows, maybe gaze up to your fingertips. Send some deep breaths into the space between your shoulder blades. So opening up the back, the upper back body. Okay, let's release and take the hands behind you again. Open up the front of the chest. And release. And roll the shoulders a few times. Okay, let's take the other leg in front. If you're in a cross-leg position, that's. And now we'll practice a seated upward salute. So we're going to take the arms up and overhead. And we're going to change the gaze from looking forward to looking up. So have your palms facing out and inhale, reach your arms all the way up and over your head and point your fingertips straight up towards the ceiling. At the same time, gently bringing your shoulders down. So opposite kind of movements, fingers high, shoulders down. Okay, straight arms if you can. Keep your gaze forward. Have another few breaths. Stick with it even if the arms are tired. Mind over matter. Stay with the breath. Okay, for a few breaths, if it feels okay for your neck, gaze up between your hands. Stick with the breath. We're nearly there. 2 and 1. Let's bring the palms together and bring the hands to the heart center. And then release your hands onto your knees. And roll the shoulders again a few times. Okay, so now we're going to come up onto our feet and we're going to do a few poses standing up before we get to our tree balance. So let's just come up and find ourselves into mountain pose. So come to the top of your mat and take a moment to feel a solid foundation through your feet. So this is really important for our balance. So spread out your toes. Your feet don't need to be together. And I want you to think about each foot having 4 corners and push down into each corner of each foot. So with the toes spread out, under the big toe, under the little toe, and then both sides of the heels, pushing down. And as you push down, think about growing through the whole body and the crown of the head drawing up. So navel into spine, legs are engaged, and then turn your palms gently forward. Let's stay for a few breaths in mountain. Really, really focus on that connection through the feet. Good. Okay, let's bring the weight onto the right foot, step onto your left toes, and then take a big step back with your left foot and sweep your arms up into the air into a high lunge. So stay high on your toes at the back, fingertips high to the sky. Keep your gaze forward. We'll have another 2 breaths here. And then we're going to spring the left foot back to the top of the mat and then take the right foot back. High lunge. You might want to wriggle your back foot a bit further away So sink into your front knee. Gaze can stay forward. Another 3 breaths. Good. Now, step your right foot to join the left, and exhale, bring your arms down, mountain pose. Okay, roll the shoulders a few times. Good. Now we're going to come back, do another high lunge, but what we're going to do this time is we're going to add in a couple of twists, an open twist and a revolve twist. And the reason why we're doing this is to focus our attention on our foundations and to change the direction of our gaze while we're in a 2-footed balancing pose. So high lunge is obviously both feet are on the mat, but it can feel a little like a balancing pose sometimes. All right, so let's stand in mountain. Take a moment. Foundation, spread out the toes. Push down into the corners of the feet. Let's take the arms up into the air. And let's take a big step back with the left foot. Okay, so find your steadiness, sink into your right knee. Take a breath in. And then as you exhale, we're going to open to the left side into an open twist. So you can either keep your gaze to the side, or you can turn your gaze to your left thumb. Now, bring your gaze back to the front. And on an exhale, we're going to open to the right side. So with the revolve twist, it might feel more challenging. Gaze to the side or start looking back to your right thumb. And inhale, bring yourself back to face forward and step the left foot to join the right. Let's bring the arms down. Roll the shoulders a few times and then do the other side. Take your arms overhead, ground down into your left foot and take a big step back with the right foot. Sink into your high lunge and get stable here. Breathe in. As you exhale, open twist to the right. And then either keep your gaze out to the right or start to look back to your right thumb. Okay, bring it back to face forward, inhale. And as you exhale, we'll open to the left. The revolve twist, close twist, looking to the side or all the way back to your left thumb. Stay with the breath. And then breathe in, back to face forward, step the right foot to join the left. And exhale, mountain pose. Good. Okay, now warrior 2. So from where you are, step or jump your feet nice and wide. Bring your arms up to shoulder height with your palms down. And then turn your right foot to the short edge of the mat. Maybe bring your left toes in a little. Keep your shoulders over your hips. And on an exhale, bend into your right knee. Just adjust your step if you need to go longer. And then turn your gaze to the middle finger of your right hand. Now I want you to really focus on your foundation. Push down into both feet. Maybe you can spread the toes. Find the connection under your big toe and your little toe mounts. And both sides of the heel. Draw the navel to the spine, relax the shoulders. Inhale, straighten your right leg, hands to hips, and bring the feet to parallel. Let's do a wide fold before we do the other side. So shoulders back. We're going to keep the hands on the hips for this one today. Breathe in, maybe gaze up. And as you breathe out, tip your hips forward. Keep the shoulders back. Lead with your chest. And start to bring the crown of your head down towards the mat. I want you to keep the weight evenly distributed between your feet.
Maybe challenging yourself by bringing the weight a little forward whilst keeping the heels down. Shoulders back. Inhale, come to a halfway lift. Exhale there. And then inhale, come all the way back to the top. Good. Exhale completely at the top. And then we'll do warrior two on the other side. Arms back up, palms down. Right toes in. Left foot to the other short edge of the mat. Breathe in. And breathe out to bend into your front knee. Okay, take your gaze to the middle finger of your left hand. Take a moment to spread out your toes. I can't do that without also spreading out my fingers. Interesting. And push down under your big toe and your little toe. Your heel, both sides of your heel. Soft shoulders. Fingertips drawing away from the center of the body. Focus on your foundation. And then inhale, straighten your left leg, feet to parallel. And then from here, either step or jump your feet together, middle of the mat. Okay, great. Now we're ready to practice tree pose. And we will practice tree pose twice. We'll take, you can do the same option twice, or you can do a lower foot version and then a higher foot version. Okay, so let's first of all bring the weight onto the right foot. And come onto your left toes. Now really focus in on your right foot, spread out the toes, think about all the actions of your mountain. I'm going to rotate the left leg out and bring the sole of the foot to the inside of your shin. As you push down through your standing foot, rise up through the crown of your head. Now your center of gravity is here in the pelvis, and any movements we take with the arms from here are going to change that. So you might want to first of all bring your hands to your heart center. Remember, any wobbles, any falls, no problem, just come back in. In fact, I think I'm going to keep my hands here at the heart center for this one. So focus on the standing leg. Lengthening through the body, draw the navel in, and then let's bring the left knee forward, release your foot, release your arms, back to mountain pose. Okay, take a moment to spread out your toes, find your foundation in your left foot, come to your right toes, and then let's rotate out, sole of the foot to shin, inside shin. So take a moment before you add your arms to get steady. Navel in, strong through the body, crown of the head extends. And then maybe add your hands. And then let's bring the knee forward, release your foot, release your arms back to mountain. Okay, let's do another round of tree. You can either stick with what you did, or you can bring your foot higher up your leg into your upper thigh. Okay, so weight back to the right foot, spread the toes, ground down, think mountain. If you want to come to the higher version, lift your knee, you'll probably want to grab your foot and then push the sole of the foot into the inside of the right thigh. Maybe if you feel steady, you can bring your hands to your heart center. And then if you want to, you could reach your arms overhead. And then bring your knee forward. Release your foot. Exhale, release your arms. Okay, let's do the final side. So, mountain pose through the left foot, spread out the toes, push down, come onto your right toes, lift your knee, grab your foot, and bring your heel up as close towards the groin as you're able to. And then push the foot into the leg and the leg into the foot. Add in some hands or arms. And then bring your knee forward, release your foot, release your arms, exhale. Good practice. Let's come down, take a seat. Good. Stretch the legs out in front of you into Dandasana. Just take a moment to rock out any padding from the sit bones. And we'll take Vrksasana. Bring your right heel in and then take your knee out to the side, sole of the foot into the left thigh. So like tree pose. Inhale and reach up. And then hinge forward from your left hip and reach towards your foot. And then either grab your foot or bring your hands to the mat or your leg. Lift halfway and then exhale, fold down. Let's stay for 5 deep breaths. Release your connection with your foot or your leg. Inhale to lift your chest and bring yourself back up to your starting position and then to Dandasana. And change to the other side. Left heel in, drop it out to the side, wriggle the foot in to the upper thigh, sit tall through the spine. Inhale, reach up from the right hip. Exhale, reach forward. Gaze to your toes or your knee. Inhale, lift halfway. And exhale to fold. 5 deep breaths. And then release any connections. Inhale, lift halfway, come back up and bring your knee up and back to Dandasana. Okay, one more position to do and we'll return to a supine position to do it. So, come into your constructive rest pose again. Soles of the feet ground down into the mat and have your feet parallel and your toes pointing forward. Do our figure 4 pose or reclined pigeon. So let's lift up the right foot and cross the ankle to the outside of the left thigh just above the knee. And then keep your hips level, but let your right knee draw away from the center line of the body. Keep your right foot flexed. We'll stay here for another 3 breaths. And then we'll take another 5 breaths. So either stay for another 5 exactly where you are, or lift your left foot, send your right hand in between your thighs, and then either interlace behind your left thigh, or grab in front of the shins. Relax the shoulders. And then, if you have hold of your shin or your leg, release, let your left foot come down, and then bring your right foot to the mat as well. Other side. Bring yourself back to your starting place, lift your left foot, left ankle outside the right thigh, just above the knee. Settle the shoulders and the backs of the arms, and allow the left knee to draw away from the middle of the body, but without twisting the spine or the hips. We'll have 3 more breaths. And then you can either stay for another 5 breaths here, or lift your right foot up, send your left hand in between the thighs, and take a bind either behind your right thigh, or reach in front of the shin. And then wherever you are, stay for another 5. Okay, if you have a bind, release it. Allow the right foot to come down. And then together, we'll release the left foot to the mat. And then just allow yourself to be still in constructive rest for a few breaths. You might want to turn your palms up now. And just start to let everything quieten down, the mind, the body. So we've come to the end of our practice, but I would advise that you take a few more minutes to rest the body and quieten down the mind, either exactly as you are in constructive rest, or you might want to straighten your legs and widen them to the edges of your mat and take a classical Shavasana position. Do whichever one works best for you. Close your eyes and allow the body just to be as it is. I'm going to leave you to enjoy some rest time. I want you to thank you for your practice today of balancing and feeling steady in the body. Enjoy your rest, and I'll see you on the next video. Om Shanti Yogis.